This is KUGAN CASSIUS for Eiffel TV in association with MTK Global. We're at the MTK Global show here. I'm joined by CEO of Matchroom Sport, Frank Smith, coming to support the Eubanks.
The next gen Harlem Eubank. I've come down. I thought one weekend off of boxing. We had a show last night. I thought, oh, it'll be all right. I'll have a weekend off. Emily's got me out of bed. But I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Good MTK show. It's the first MTK show I've been to. Looks good out there.
Filling up quite nicely here at about 7:30 on a Saturday night. Do you know what? It's weird because whenever I kind of speak to Eddie about stuff that's not on Sky, and I say, oh, did you watch so-and-so fight? And he goes, no, I didn't see it because, you know, when he's doing kind of back-to-back shows and then there's another show and the last thing he wants to do is kind of watch boxing. And I get that to a certain degree. Is that how it is for you as well? If it's not your own thing, it's kind of like your schedule's quite full on. So when you have a bit of time off, it's like, let it be the time off.
I suppose it's like anything you do. You know, we're doing 45 to 50 shows a year at the minute all around the world. So with that, really the last thing I want to do outside of my job is do more. It's like anything, isn't it? It's like if you work in a shop, you don't want to go back to that shop when you got a day off. But you know, it's good. It's good to come and support the family. Like I say, support a good show here. With thanks to Lee Eaton for sorting me out and KUGAN CASSIUS. Dropped Coogie Bear a text earlier. But yeah, I don't think it's about. I think it's more of a case like any job. Like if you did it every day, like even working in it constantly, like today you've still got work to do. When you want to get away from it, it's a bit like, I don't watch it at home, outside of our shows. But you can understand that, I'm sure.
No, I totally get it. And when, like I said, there's where we kind of cover all promotional shows in the UK, or try to anyway, when there is an odd weekend off and you kind of go out and people want to talk to you about boxing, which is fine, but it's like there's never a break from it. Like, you probably get it everywhere you go. Your family and that always want to kind of constantly talk to you about boxing, when sometimes you think, not tonight.
Yeah, I mean, when I go home, it's like, what's going on with Joshua's opponent? What's going on with this Usyk? Like, what's going on with this guy? It's like, oh, please just leave me alone. You know, like, I don't want to talk. Like, I want to talk to my family about other things, right? Because it's all I talk about all day. So, but look, you got to enjoy it. We're in a good time of the sport. So rather than moan about it, we just got to enjoy it. And we're having fun. We like what we do. We're lucky to do what we do, I suppose. So can't moan about it.
Absolutely not. Let's just kind of backtrack over the last couple of weeks. A lot has happened, obviously. The fallout from the Miller situation. We now know, obviously, Aj-Ruiz comes in to fight Joshua on June the 1st. Usyk, he's out injured. The Maryland show.
That earlier, he asked me about that. I told him about it.
The Maryland show, or Maryland show, carries on, headlined by Devin Haney, also Michael Hunter and Hrgovic on the bill as well. So Eddie said that there was a possibility that show could have gone to Las Vegas, but you can probably answer this, why it didn't go to Las Vegas.
Yeah, look, we worked on it, but I think people have to understand that we had about 19, 20 days, and that's not a long time to get something set up, on sale, move venues, change flight. Like, you know, we've got 150 people flying in for that event. So it's a lot of work to try and change all those plans. We did want it to go to Vegas, don't get me wrong, but things weren't happening in time, so we made a decision to stay in Maryland, as you say. Looking forward to going to the MGM National Harbour. It looks like, are you coming?
Umar's coming.
Umar's going everywhere. Kazakhstan the other day, staying in the Ritz-Carlton. He's like, I want Umar's life. He's here tonight, he's staying in the Premier Inn tonight, he's going block 40. He's like, do you want to come out with me? I've got a table. It's under IFL.
What?
I know, he said that you'd signed off about 800 quid. It's a couple of bottles of Belvedere and a bottle of Perrier Jouet.
Possibly. Actually, you've just reminded me of a story I'm going to come back to, actually, Frank. Frank, highlight of Las Vegas and a low light of Las Vegas?
It's got to be sitting with you, mate. Doing
a low light
at about 12:30 at night. No, highlight has got to be John Ryder's performance and win. Low end of the scale, obviously Danny Jacobs didn't get the win, but he was involved in probably what will be one of the biggest fights of 2019. And you know, he lost by 1-1-5, 1-1-3 on 2 cards. So he didn't get outclassed. I think he could have done more, but there's still a lot of big fights out there for Danny Jacobs. But it was a good weekend. It was a good week overall, wasn't it? It was a good three weeks we had. Not all the results we needed, but a good 3 weeks for boxing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a good week in Vegas. It was a long week. I think Vegas kind of does.
It went for a while. Vegas is like a 2-day place. It's like, get me on that plane after 2 days and don't bring me back for a while.
I agree. Actually, you just reminded me of talking about tables in clubs. Eddie Hearn was talking about something in our interview. He was talking about there was kind of like a Matchroom DAZN table going on at one of the nightclubs in Las Vegas, and he kind of alluded to the fact that there was a bit of a high bill. Can you, like high as in money-wise bill, can you allude to any more of this, Frank? What happened?
Yeah, to be honest, neither myself or Eddie got invited, so it didn't go down too well in the office, but everyone lives and learns. It's a bit expensive, actually.
Could we have a slight indication of how much this table was, Frank?
No thanks, KUGAN. I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't even there.
Oh, no. You already won there. I was actually there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So you owe us. Basically, what we're going around, we're going around all the people in there. We're getting their drinks orders for the night. I think you're on about $575 at the minute. Everyone I speak to is like, I only had 2 beers. Like, everyone who was on that table was like, I only had 2 beers. It's like, well, who spent the rest of the money?
Well, I don't know, but there was about 35 people there, Frank. So, you know, divvy that up. But I wasn't drinking myself. But what?
So you probably owe about $400. That's all right, isn't it?
Oh, wait, let me see what I've got in my pocket now.
Do you know what? You've done so much for us over the years. I'll let you have it.
Let's have that one.
Everyone else who was on the table, you got to pay up. I'll send you the account details.
Absolutely.
Was he angry about it? What did he say? Did he go into too much detail?
He didn't go into loads of details. I tried to get an indication of how much it was. So I basically put this up, and he went double that. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a dear night out for a night out that you and Eddie weren't at.
Yeah. But everyone lives and learns, as I say, and we get on with it.
Absolutely. But it was actually a good night. It was like all the DAZN.
No, that's good to hear. I mean, it's good that you had a good night. I'm glad.
It was a good night. All the DAZN lot were there, the Matchroom lot were there. I'm not involved in either of those, so I don't really know why I was there. I was kind of just.
You're just a man of the people, aren't you? That's what I like about you. You are the person people want to be around because you're just a happy soul.
About a happy soul. I'm a bit of a miserable bastard like you sometimes, Frank. But
I'm a miserable bastard when I'm miserable.
Let's talk about what's coming up next. Obviously, all attention after Maryland. I keep going to say this wrong. Is it Maryland or is it Maryland?
I mean, to be honest, I'll go with Maryland. But it's
Eddie calls it Maryland.
That's what I just said, didn't I? Yeah, I mean, let's go with Maryland.
Right, Maryland. But June the 1st, we know a couple of the fights on there, but we know some of the fighters that are on there. When's the rest of the card going to get announced as in opponent-wise?
I think next week you'll see some, most of the details will come out. Obviously, we had the issue with Jarrell Miller. We were going to announce a lot of things around then. Then that sort of put us back. Our focus was more on getting the main event out there and announced. And we had a lot of the undercard. We've had a lot of the undercard fights done, but it's just been a case of getting sort of timing things now because everyone was pressing. Anytime we announced anything, it was like, who's Joshua fighting? So we wanted to manage that right. And I think this week you'll see a lot more details come out. We've already announced Taylor against Delphine Persoon for the Undisputed World Championship. Also announced Coyle Algieri on there. And, you've got a few other fights that we'll announce this week. I mean, I'm confused because I have to watch Eddie's interviews to see what he's actually come out with. Sometimes we haven't actually announced them, but he'll just tell you. You must have a way with him to get it out of him.
Yeah, I've thought that over the years that sometimes Hearn probably says too much in interviews. But
he's getting better at it. He's getting better at saying less.
I don't think that's the case, to be honest. I think sometimes, like over that whole Wilder situation where John Skipper told him to kind of keep a lid on it without having to talk, it killed him for that whole week and not being able to talk about that.
He loves to talk that. But that's why he is where he is, because he's a salesman and he likes to speak about things, he likes to sell things, he likes to give the spiel. I think the only thing is now we're doing so much more, so many more events, that some things just get lost, like amongst, you're doing so many interviews now, people don't. Back in the day, it used to be like you do about 10 interviews a month. Now you're doing about 300, aren't you? So
I've never just done 10 in a month.
You got Umar flying about the world, just having it off, driving around in Bentleys. He's changed. I want to be Umar when I grow up.
Everyone wants a little bit of Umar.
I love his confidence. I
love confidence in anyone, especially at 21 years old.
It's impressive.
Nearly as impressive as you at 21.
Mate, I can't remember what I was like at 21. It was a long time ago now. It's nearly 6 years ago. 27 in July. I'm not so much of this young kid anymore. I still look young and.
Eddie always says that the business hasn't turned him bitter yet, but probably will do one day. Is that the same for you?
No, like, I think, don't get me wrong, it's a bloody stressful business. You want to rip your hair out a lot of the time, but we have a lot of fun along the way, and it's all part and parcel of it. I think too many people in boxing who work in boxing, promoters, are bitter, and all they try and do is put other people down, put other shows down. It's like, why don't you just focus on your own event rather than other people's? Do you get what I'm saying? And I think if you did that, it would be for the better of boxing as a whole, rather than just like, there's no point me saying, it's like coming here saying something about this or going to the next show saying something about that. What's the point? Just talk, say boxing's in a great place, our shows are doing really well, this guy's doing well. Do you know what? We don't promote this guy, but I think he's good. Who cares? I think people prefer that. Why so negative? I think as well it's a bit of a British thing. Like, British people can be negative about, what's going on. Unfortunately, like, they don't always want to see people do well, do they? So.
But in this country, like I said, having lived here all my life, born here all my life, I can comment on this. Even though some people have suggested recently I should go back to Sri Lanka.
We've got links there, haven't we? Obviously, we've got links. So. Yeah.
But yes, it is kind of like an underdog mentality, which I like. I like people kind of getting behind, the underdog in this country, which we've always done. But kind of liking the loser, or kind of liking that loser story, if you like. But Eddie's obviously talked about it before. When they get to the top, it's like, that kind of attitude.
Yeah, but I think that's the same in everything. Whether it's like in business, in sport, boxing, football, whatever you're talking about, it's the same issue we see. I think in boxing, more than anything, it is that sort of put people down and put other promoters down, put other shows down. But it's pointless because you waste so much energy, don't you? Do you know what is the point? What do you get out of it? You don't really win, do you? You just look sad. So I think for us, or for me, it's just we'll do it until we've had it, not bitter, but until we sort of there's nothing more left to complete. But right now, we're enjoying it. It's in a great place. And I think we've got a good 10 years left in us of smashing this business.
I want to talk to you about some numbers that DAZN released for the Canelo and Jacobs fight. Seemed pretty impressive, kind of the US figures and also the figures across all the territories that DAZN are in. But you're in contact with DAZN. They're obviously happy with that.
Yeah, they're delighted. They've pushed really hard. They've obviously invested heavy into this business, not just in boxing, but a range of other sports as well. And they're delighted with their position as a global platform. They're getting to where they need to be, if not already surpassed. And they'll keep pushing. And it's great to work with a company who are hungry to really build it. They're the same as us, especially in the US. They've gone in with a brand new business. And to be where they are already, I think you've spoken about it before, after just 8 months is unbelievable. 7, 8 months, I think. They're in a great place. The numbers they released were brilliant. And they're going to carry on pushing on. They're not going to sort of rest on it. They're going to carry on pushing on and building. And it's great for boxing fans.
Absolutely. Just finally coming back to Andy Ruiz. Obviously, we had a press conference in Las Vegas with Andy last week. And I mean, still looking at the list, I think everyone's kind of first choice on that list was Luis Ortiz. We know the situation there through the various, obviously, stories from both camps. But Andy Ruiz on the next one seemed the most credible opponent from all the other guys mentioned, I would say. And if people are kind of just going from his physique and kind of being critical of that, then okay. But in terms of actually being able to fight, then Joshua... it's a worthy competitor at 6 weeks' notice.
I think it's going to be a strong fight. I think the people who watch it on the night on June 1st will then realise what Andy Ruiz brings. Obviously, everyone just looks at his physique like they look at mine, and
Who's in better shape, you or Ruiz?
Andy Ruiz, definitely. Have you seen the volume of punches he throws?
He's got such quick hands as well.
But I think casual, like sort of fans who are. I don't know. It's a real sort of full-on boxing fans know what he brings. But I think if you're not a massive, but live it day in day out, you don't quite understand what he's done. His only loss was against Joseph Parker, and many believe he should have won that fight. So I think it's going to be a great fight. I think he'll earn a lot of plaudits after the fight. Once people see, because he'll go in there, he'll give it 100%, and that's all you can ask. He could have ended up with an opponent who was just going to do nothing, just go in there, take the money, and not try. Whereas this guy will go in there and he'll give him it 100%. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a great fight. I think AJ will perform as he always does, and carry on that undefeated streak. But it's going to be exciting. What do you think?
I quite like the Ruiz fight. Like I said, given the situation, given kind of the time scale and who was realistically available, and with my interview with Anthony Joshua the other day, the whole point to it is Ruiz took the fight. Everyone was kind of possibly outpricing themselves or declining the fight because they believe that there's other fights for them in the pipeline, but Ruiz took the fight. So I know it's kind of, to us, it's a no-brainer. He's been offered a load of money to fight for 3 world titles at Madison Square Garden against Anthony Joshua, but if that was the same case, then everyone would have accepted the fight.
Yeah, look, I don't think people actually see the ins and outs of it. The sort of 10-day, 2-week period we had of trying to find the right person, trying to get it all done. I wish it was as easy as people thought it was, and you could just go click your fingers and there's a replacement. He's on the poster all of a sudden, everything's fine. But there's a lot of work went into it, and I think out of all the people we could have found, he's a perfect replacement. And I think in many ways it's just as tough, if not a tougher fight than the Jarrell Miller fight was.
Were you involved in the offers being sent to Luis Ortiz's team?
I don't know anything about that. Yeah, I mean, Eddie deals with it sort of directly because he knows the guys, but I think it's been quite publicly spoken about what was sent. Maybe that's a fight for down the road. I know, again, Eddie said in an interview with, was it you guys last night? I think he said, Ortiz is a possible fight down the line, even maybe the next fight. But it just depends if people want. It's easy for people to sort of put it on AJ and say, you're ducking, or, there's always going to be a number of people who say that, but he will fight anyone. I think we've shown with the offers, AJ's the one who says, yeah, I'll fight him. And by making the offers, he's shown he wants to fight these people, all of them, everyone out there. So, he's not scared, he's not running away from anyone. But I think people have to understand he's in the best position in heavyweight boxing. He's built himself. He's done a lot of this work to get into where he is. So, he deserves to be where he is, and he'll carry on fighting everyone and anyone. So. Everyone and anyone of the best. There you go.
Final question. Who would you say right now is the most realistic second fight? Judging Joshua gets past Andy Ruiz on the 1st of June, who would you say the most realistic contender is for Joshua's second fight of 2019?
Happy Dilla pay-per-view.
Beat David Price first.
There's a few out there. He's got but Usyk obviously with a pull-out. I don't know. I doubt he'll want to go straight into that. He'll probably have another fight when he comes back. He's got a bit of time out now. You've got the Luis Ortiz fight is a possibility if they want to entertain it. Pulev, who is going to be his IBF mandatory at some point. Dillian Whyte's a fight. So, but the landscape changes so quickly, doesn't it? One of these guys loses. One of these guys, unfortunately, would get injured. It's so difficult to say. But, I think everyone should just know he wants to fight the best. He'll go in with the best every time. And we'll look forward to getting him back out at the end of the year. But first things first, he can't look past June 1st. He's got a test with Andy Ruiz, and I'm sure he'll do the job, but he's got to go in there and give it his all.
Frank, obviously before we go, the situation regarding Dillian Whyte and the WBC is getting more kind of bizarre by the day. Maurizio Sulaiman coming out the other day and saying that he wants to order Whyte to fight Tyson Fury, kind of final eliminator, if you like, for the mandatory spot or whatever, to fight the winner of Wilder in Brazil. But I mean, Dillian Whyte sat there as number 1. I think it's like 530 odd days or something. But that situation is a bit odd.
Yeah, I'm not too sure where it's come from. Obviously, Tyson Fury had the fight with Deontay Wilder. He drew in that fight. But I think Dillian Whyte deserves his chance. He shouldn't have to... Look, Dillian Whyte will fight anyone, but he shouldn't, for the WBC position, he shouldn't have to box anyone else. He should have the opportunity to fight Deontay Wilder. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I think Tyson Fury came out and said the same thing, didn't he?
I think Tyson Fury he did do an interview with Behind the Gloves, but what he said is that, you know, he obviously didn't fight Wilder for his own reasons where the rematch was there. So it doesn't really make any sense for Tyson then to fight Dillian Whyte to go back to a position that he was already in, if that makes sense.
I suppose it doesn't also suit, you know, he's got his own deal going on with ESPN and Top Rank and Frank Warren. He's got his own thing going on. What he plans to do, he may have different plans. He may not want, you know, he's fighting Tom Schwartz. He may not want to fight, like you say, he may not want to fight Dillian Whyte. That may not be what he wants to do. But I don't think that should then hold up Dillian Whyte from getting his shot of fighting Deontay Wilder. He should just be going straight into the Deontay Wilder fight. You know, Dillian Whyte will fight. He's another one. He will fight anyone. But it's got to all be done the right way. So it'll be interesting to see. Again, it's another thing we have to wait and see what unfolds. Tyson boxes next week. No, sorry, in June 15th. And Dillian boxes July 20th. You know, heavyweight boxing. Anything can happen in these fights. But we have to wait and see what happens with those. And then I'm sure that, you know, there's lots of work going on in the background now. But it's a very confusing situation, isn't it?
It is confusing. And like I said, it just seems the situation with Dillian Whyte is just, like I said, it's dragged on and on and on. And I mean, this resolution that Maritza Suleiman came up with doesn't seem to kind of really kind of make any sense. But like I said, we'll have to wait and see. Ideal situation with Dillian Whyte is that the fight with Oscar Rivas is made for that mandatory position. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, hopefully we can get that done. And I think that's a fight worthy of it. You know, Oscar Rivas coming off the back of a great win. Dillian Whyte's been in there against the best. You know, 3 great fights recently. You know, he's coming off the back of Joseph Parker, Derek Chisora, Lucas Brown. A run of top fights, and again, he's earned his position to be there in the WBC rankings, and he deserves to get what he's fought for. So let's wait and see what happens. But you know, Eddie, I know Eddie's dealing with it very closely, and you know, Dillian's very focused on it. Dillian knows what he wants, as you know, and he's pushing very hard for it as well. So hopefully we can get the right outcome for Dillian Whyte.
Frank Smith, thank you very much for talking to Eiffel TV. I'm going to let you get back to your night.
I'm going to watch the next gen. I don't know what he is to me.
Cousin-in-law?
Is that what it is? Cousin-in-law?
Emily's cousin.
Emily's cousin.
Cousin-in-law, if that's such a thing.
Watch my cousin-in-law, Joseph Eubank. No, it's not Joseph, is it? Harlem. My head's gone. I've had about 12 weeks on the road. Harlem Eubank. I'm going to go and watch him do the job. He had a great KO win in his last fight. I think that was his last fight at York Hall. So, you're laughing at me.
I'm not. We're all good. Frank, just go and take your seat and have a drink. Oh.
Thanks, mate. See you later.